Good evening, everyone. I'm Chinchila Jonesia, the Queen of Justice. And tonight, here on PhillyCAM Voices, we have a special dedicated to wrongful incarcerations in conjunction with Mental Health Awareness Month. Last Thursday, October 2nd, was Wrongful Conviction Awareness Day. And we had a wonderful event at City Hall here in Philadelphia at the Cato Memorial Statue and also in the courtyard. The reason it was held at the Cato Memorial statue was due to the fact that Octavius Cato was an activist right here in the city of Philadelphia back in the 1800s, and he was murdered back in 1800s, and that was so sad. He was born and raised in South Philadelphia, and some of the men that you will be seeing tonight were born and raised in South Philadelphia as well. Wrongful convictions, it is a very, very common thing that happens in this state and in this country. And not just in the country that we live in, the United States of America, but it happens worldwide. But unfortunately, here in the USA, our wrongful convictions are really through the roof. And it's sad to say that Pennsylvania has one of the highest wrongful convictions in the country. And we have seen many men exonerated here in the city of Philadelphia. And we've seen men that were wrongfully incarcerated become paroled, and some had their wrongful convictions overturned or vacated. And all of those play a whole different part in wrongful convictions because men that are wrongfully incarcerated, they want to see themselves exonerated, not paroled, not saying that they have to cop a plea in order to get out. They want to be exonerated. And because of the amount of exonerations here now, they have started to force men that are wrongfully incarcerated, knowing that these men are wrongfully incarcerated and that there's a wealth of innocence right there in their H files, which is a homicide files for those who have been in prison for murder, convicted of murder. And the others, DNA evidence proves their innocence and all types of other things that proves their innocence. And they know, the DA's office know that, hey, we see that they've been wrongfully incarcerated, but yet now they don't want to say you're exonerated because they know that lawsuits will come after they're exonerated. Because here in Philadelphia, there's been a few successful lawsuits filed, which is a civil lawsuit. And a civil lawsuit is different than being compensated by the state. In Pennsylvania, there's no compensation bill. Pennsylvania right now is one of 10 states that do not compensate the wrongfully incarcerated once they get out of prison. Once they're exonerated, they come out to nothing but a pat on the back saying, hey, be glad you're out. And that's so sad. And we want to see that change here in the state of Pennsylvania because we should be the example for the rest of the country, but we're not. So these men have went through the ringer with their wrongful incarcerations. And tonight you're going to hear all about it. And right now, there have been approximately 3,723 exonerations across this country. And there's happening every day somewhere else, but not here in Philadelphia anymore. Now they're being overturned or vacated by copying a plea for time served. And that's really sad. So tonight we're going to be talking about the impact, the mental impact on wrongful convictions for these men behind the walls. And once they're outside, it still affects them mentally. And we're going to find out how tonight. All right. So tonight, my special guest will be to my left, Vincent Moto, who is Pennsylvania's historical exoneree. And he was the first to be exonerated through the use of DNA here in Pennsylvania. And Vincent spent 10 and a half years wrongfully behind bars for a rape, conspiracy, sexual deviant intercourse, and other charges that they threw at him. None of them were valid. Vincent was exonerated in 1996, and we are now in 2025. Next year, it will be Vincent's 30th year of freedom. Next to Vincent is Michael Grant. Michael Grant spent 17 and a half years behind bars for the murder of a police officer. Attempted murder, yes, I'm sorry, attempted murder. A murder did not happen. I'm sorry, everybody. Attempted murder of a police officer. Michael was innocent, and there was a wealth of evidence to prove it, a wealth of evidence that should have not made Michael go to prison in the first place because none of it was valid. And it was just totally botched and totally wrong. There was no way that he should have even been arrested. He should not have ever gone to trial, but he not only went to trial once, but twice. He went to trial, spent 17 and a half years in prison. He got out, his sentence was vacated, overturned. They retried Michael and found out Michael was, yes, innocent. They were found him innocent. And it's just sad. It should have never happened. And Michael was here on PhillyCAM Voices before. And the witness, which is sad to say, but misidentification is one of the main things that cause wrongful convictions. People say, oh, I saw this person do it, I saw that person do it, and they did not. In Michael's case, the perpetrator looks nothing like Michael. Michael was 300 and I think 10 pounds, and the guy was 100 and something pounds, and everything was wrong. The guy was dark skinned. Michael's not dark skinned. And so everything was totally wrong, and Michael should have never been charged with anything. Next to me on my right is Herndon Steele. Herndon Steele spent 38 years in prison for murder. And he didn't do it, okay? He did not do it. He was innocent, but yet he spent all those years behind bars. The mother of his child at the time, they threatened to take her child away if she did not testify against Herndon. And these are things that happen in this country, in the state of Pennsylvania, where they threaten wives and fiancés and girlfriends to testify against their loved one. They threaten them with putting their children in foster care and all types of things, and it's sad. And so this is a ungodly practice, that has to stop. So Herndon spent 38 years in prison. He had a 4-year-old son at the time, and his son finally got to really spend time with his dad. Guess when? This year, March 13th, 2025, Herndon was released from prison. Next to Herndon is Salim Rouse. Salim spent 23 years behind bars wrongfully for a crime he did not commit. Now, Salim also got out this year. And, these men, we want to add up the number of years that they've been wrongfully incarcerated. So if we start over with Mike, 17 and a half years, Vincent 10 and a half, that's 28 years. Then we add on Herndon Steele, 38 years. 28 and 38 is 66. And then we get to Salim, 66 plus 23 is, how much is that? 89, okay? 89 years, okay, combined for these men. And it's such a sad shame. It's such a sad shame. The other ways that men and women are wrongfully incarcerated is by police corruption, planting of evidence, withholding exculpatory evidence, which could prove them innocent, and the jury probably would have came back with a not guilty verdict. Then we have judicial biases, we have prosecutorial misconduct, we have attorneys that are ineffective, which is called ineffective assistance of counsel. So that is just a brief synopsis on what a wrongful conviction is for those of you that don't know, okay? Now, what we're going to discuss now is the impact, the mental impact of wrongful convictions. And we're going to start with Mr. Moto here to my left. While you were in prison, Mr. Moto, what effect did being wrongfully incarcerated, knowing that you were innocent, but yet you were behind bars, what went through your mind when they first said guilty and took you away to prison?
At that time, it was a lot going through my mind. First of all, um, during the process of me just being pulled off the street and taken away from my family, I experienced a 180 degrees situation. I was doing well. I was working. I was working 3 jobs. I was part of granola company. I started off with the granola company, 10th and Packard Park. I was doing great. I was a musician, and I was walking down the street, and the next thing you know, I'm being charged for a crime that I did not commit, and I just couldn't believe it. Like it was like a nightmare. Like this went on for a long time. Even while I was in prison, I would say to myself, like I'm gonna wake up and this is all like a dream, And during the process of trial, I think that had one of the greatest impacts on me because I had my family there, my loved ones, my children, my mother, my father, and the way the district attorney, he was very deceptive, and the tactics that he used, he tried to make like my mother and father were criminals, and he tried to make them like they were liars, and they were deceiving the courts, and they would lie for me, which they don't know my parents. My parents don't play that. If I committed a crime, they wouldn't even come up to prison to see me. That's just how strict they was. So I'm psychologically going through this. My children is, and my lady is there. I was about to get married, my fiance, all this that was going on in my mind. And the worst thing in the world is trying to fight something that you have no knowledge about. I had no knowledge of what was even going on at the time of this wrongful
Wow.
conviction.
Yes.
I didn't know who the lady was. I had no details where it actually took place. So, and my family, we never had any issues with the criminal justice system. So we didn't even know how to actually go about getting an attorney.
Wow.
So, I'm really
Yes.
devastated.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
So mentally, it had like
absolutely,
a big effect mentally of being locked up
absolutely.
unlawfully.
I was diagnosed now
Yes.
with post-traumatic stress syndrome. So that should give
Yes.
you an idea,
Yeah. And
you know,
all of you have been with that, of course.
of what it will do to you psychologically.
Yes.
I still don't sleep good at night.
Yeah.
It's a lot that goes on, like situations where I could be in a room with someone and they lose something or something like that. First thing come to my mind is, oh man, I hope they don't accuse me. So I'm gonna have to stand around and look and find whatever the person is that lost. I don't care if it's a pen. I don't want to be accused of a
Right.
crime I didn't commit.
Right.
And you can't change these things. I try to move forward with my life. I was trying to get a job and work. As soon as I got out, I had to seek psychological counseling. I seek psychological counsel for 5 years straight. Nobody had to ask me. I knew that I needed it from what I was
Yes.
going through,
All right. Thank you, Mr.
Yes.
Moto. Michael, for you, basically same question. What went through your mind knowing that you did not try to kill a cop and that everything was wrong with everything? The evidence totally did not depict you. So what went through your mind when they found you guilty?
Um, in my case, first I want to say everything that Mr. Moto just said resonates with me. I second everything he said, and I'm sure everybody who's been wrongfully convicted would feel the same. The confusion was I was a small business owner. I had been shot in a robbery and woke up with police officers putting handcuffs on me in the hospital. I had given my ID. I gave them my cell phones. They contacted my family. My family gave. I did everything that I was supposed to do, and woke up being told that I was under arrest for attempted murder of a police officer. I mean, the confusion was just. I had no idea what was going on whatsoever, and these officers started with a faulty assumption, and then built a case around it, which resulted in me being taken away from my loved ones for 17 years.
And so, what went through your mind during the prison term um, mentally
The
while inside?
I mean, what I can say is, rather than letting it break me, and I saw, similar circumstances break others, I decided to dig my way out. I didn't have the finances to fight with attorneys, and so I decided to learn the law.
So you stayed focused with staying in the law room
I,
and
I
all that?
never counted on seeing a parole board or anything.
Okay.
In my mind, I was either going to do every day that I had been sentenced to, or I was going to dig my way out.
And what did they sentence you to?
A total of 65 years. It was 25 to 50
Wow.
plus 15 years
For attempted murder.
for attempted murder.
Wow. That's crazy. That was over sentencing totally. Totally over sentencing. Yeah, that's just really ridiculous. But you did your own post conviction and all that stuff, and PCRA, and so did Vincent Moto, and both of you were got out of prison. Where you were exonerated, your sentence was overturned, you were retried, and then hey, now are you fully exonerated now?
Yeah, with that not guilty verdict, absolutely.
All right.
That's the truest exoneration you can have. Majority of my peers.
Yes. All right. That's good. That's good. All right, Mr. Steele.
I think the impact it had on me, when I heard the judge say that I was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, I went numb. I went numb. It was like a surreal moment for me. What immediately came to my mind is the hurt and the pain that I caused my parents, despite being wrongfully convicted. And that I would never get the chance to be a father to my son. I would never get the chance to be a father to my daughter, whose mom was pregnant when I left. And that still impacts our relationship today, me and my daughter. It's non existent. And I'm not ashamed to say it. It's hurtful, but that's the reality of being in prison for so long. You lose relationships. It's mental strain, it's mental anguish, but I refuse to allow it to cause me to be hopeless. And I refuse to allow that to cause me to question, why did that happen to me? Because when you start questioning, that causes you, because you'll never know the answer to that question. And that will cause you to give up hope. And so I just knew that I had to fight. You don't have time to be weak in prison. You don't have time to be emotionally dysfunctional. You have to be strong 24/7. And that's what I embarked upon, a journey to become strong 24/7 and not allow a dysfunctional situation to cause me to become dysfunctional in prison.
And with Mr. Steele, everybody, I often talk about how men and women that are wrongfully incarcerated, they lose family members behind the walls while they're in prison. And Herndon Steele lost many. He lost his parents while wrongfully behind bars. Herndon, please share with everybody what went through your mind mentally, because in prison, um, you didn't get a chance to come out to see them for the last time, to go to the funerals. So, what type of impact did that have on you mentally and emotionally?
When my parents passed away, when my dad passed away, I was in a hole of Dallas. I served 6 years in a hole from 1989 to 1995. I was in a hole for Campbell riot. My dad passed away while I was in the hole. I was already feeling guilty because I knew what my situation had done to them. Two of my biggest fears while in prison was losing my parents and my son coming to prison with me. When my mom passed away, that just increased the guilt. I live with that guilt every single day. Every single day. I've lived with that guilt since October the 15th, 1986, when I was arrested. And I have to deal with it. It's not going to ever go away. No amount of money, no compensation can ever bring my mother and father back, and my grandma.
Wow. And your grandmother.
And my grandma. And it's stressful. My mom went to sleep and never woke up. She wasn't sick. She went to sleep and never woke up.
Wow.
You know, and I feel like, and I understand that, you know, death, all of us are going to face death. Death is going to come to everybody. I live every day with the thought that my situation broke my mother's heart.
Yes, he died of a
If
broken
you
heart.
understood how I grew up, I was the only child for 15 years.
Wow.
I was considered a silver spoon kid. I wasn't in a situation where I was forced to go out and rob and steal and do anything for money, food, clothes, and none of that. You know, and so my situation, and it's sad because wrongful incarceration, period. If I was a person who committed crime every day and my mother knew it, right? A mother remembers the innocence of her child, and she remembers how she raised her child.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so, and it placed a stigma on my mind, and that's the hurtful thing.
Yeah.
My mother worked for the federal government, and every day she went to work with a stigma on her that her son was a convicted murderer.
Yes. And the way that is, everybody, you know, the families, they believe in their loved ones for their innocence. But then you have some that don't. But for these men, their families believed in their innocence. But what about the people around them? Their friends, their co-workers, and all that stuff. They're probably saying, oh, yeah, her son or his son and killed somebody. They're in prison. And they don't really know the facts because people didn't know about, hey, there are wrongful convictions out there. People are wrongfully incarcerated. They do get wrongfully convicted. And so that now with these four men, people see. And with all the others, people see, yes, wrongful convictions do exist. Salim.
When I was convicted, um, I was surprised, right? Because like the evidence in my case was so weak that I got convicted after my third trial. I had two hung juries, the first two times, and it went from Len Abraham and them offering me 30 to 60 for a murder that I didn't commit to after the first hung jury it went to 20 to 40. Then after the second hung jury it went to 15 to 30. I'm like, no. Then they like, all right, well, take this 8 to 16. Right? And at the time I had like 3 years in the county, so I'm like, all right, I could go state and do 5 years, then probably come. I'm like, no. And then got convicted that third time. And when they said guilty, I was surprised. I was surprised because um, the witnesses in my case, on the night that this crime allegedly happened, I was nowhere in the area. So all of the witnesses on that night, they said that it wasn't me on that night. Wow. It took them a month, 35 days, 33 days later, when they kept putting me in photo arrays, putting me in photo arrays, putting me in photo arrays, till they said, man, we keep seeing this face. Wow. This got to be the one that they talking about.
Right.
Then
so
they
every
said,
lineup for every mugshot, every lineup, they had you there.
right, I was the one consistent picture that was in all them lineups,
Wow.
all them photo arrays.
Wow.
And it took that to make them say, that got to be him right there.
Wow. Wow. Because,
So
you know, repetition, that's
Right,
that
exactly,
repetition
right.
is key, whether you're speaking it or seeing it. You know, that's just crazy.
So I was confused. Like I said, I was 19. I ain't really had too much going. I was 19. I was working at McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? But I was young. I was living my life. So I was confused. I was confused more than anything. And then I didn't know what to face or what to expect when I'm going upstate. So then there's a fear, that's associated with that. You know what I'm saying? So, it was definitely confusion, and it was fear. But once I became Muslim, then that's when I was able to like not let a dysfunctional situation, like he said, make me a dysfunctional person. That really helped me. My Islam is really what helped me.
Yes.
But yeah, I was confused, and I was afraid.
Yeah.
That was a mental impact.
Wow. Thank you so much. So these four men sitting to either side of me, each side of me, they all experienced a terrible, terrible ordeal that no one should have to experience. And I can say each of them, from me talking to them and knowing them now, they all got through it because of faith. Okay, their faith, their determination, them having people to encourage them. And everyone that's wrongfully incarcerated, for those of you that are watching this show, if you have a loved one that tells you that they're innocent, please believe them. If they're telling you time and time again, I'm innocent, believe them, okay? And the way that you show that you believe them is by continually encouraging them, advocating for them, telling their stories, okay? As the saying goes, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. If you're not making any noise, letting people know that you have a son, a daughter, a husband, a brother, a cousin, an uncle, an aunt, a father, a mother behind the walls wrongfully, no one's going to know about it, okay? And it will be swept under the rug like all of these cases were. They tried to sweep it under the rug, okay? But that rug was uncovered or removed, picked up, and we see the evidence. And that's how you have to be. You have to fight relentlessly for your loved one. And unfortunately, like with Herndon, all the years he spent wrongfully behind bars, 38 years. And he had to take a plea for time served. And Herndon, how old are you now, Herndon?
60.
He's 60 years old. So he got out 60 years old. And when he went in, that was 38 years ago. Do the math.
That was 21.
Okay? 21 years old. And, that was the only way they were going to let Herndon out, although there was a wealth of evidence to prove his innocence. But they did not want to exonerate him. And after seeing both of his parents pass away, his grandmother pass away, mentally, you didn't want to be there anymore, did you, Herndon?
No, when that happened, it was like, what else is left? Like I'm thankful. I'm so thankful that I come from a very strong, close-knit family. And my cousins, my aunts, everybody supported me from day one until the time I got out of prison. For the last 16 and a half years, close to 17 years now, I was married to the most beautiful woman I've ever known. You know my wife.
Tracy, wonderful.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
and she's just such a blessing.
Yes, she is.
And she gave me such a head start, as did my son and the rest of my family.
Yes.
Such a head start on life when I came out.
Yes.
A lot of people don't
And
come
now, I
out.
don't mean to interrupt
No,
you, but
I
we're getting
understand.
down the wire. So
I understand.
I want to let everybody else say something else. But I just want to say, yes, a strong family, that stuck by Herndon. Wife Tracy relentlessly fought for him, okay? Vince Moto, a strong family. His mother, Mrs. Elizabeth Moto, was the queen in his life that fought relentlessly for her son, and she never stopped, okay? And, Vincent is out. All of these men are out. Vincent had children. How many children did you have, Vincent, when they locked you up? When they kidnapped you from your family?
4 children.
4 children. 4 children. And Michael, he didn't have any children, okay? He didn't have a wife, but guess what? He has a beautiful son now, and he has a wife. And Michael just celebrated his first anniversary year of freedom in January because he got out last January of 2024. And so we want to like really wish these men the best. And although they've been through, I want to say, hell and back, they are here now on this side of the wall, not just saying, oh, I'm out, I'm going to enjoy myself, I'm going to party hardy and just do me. They're all activists. They're helping get others out of prison, their comrades, as they call them, out of prison, the ones that they know are innocent. And so I want to commend each and every one of you for what you're doing and, and the impact that it's had on you. No one should have to experience that. But please know, everybody, wrongful incarcerations, they don't just affect the people that are wrongfully behind the walls. Wrongful incarceration, in fact, affects the entire family as a whole. The children suffer, the spouses suffer, the parents suffer. Everybody suffers that loves them, okay? And some of them were the backbone of their family, okay, during the wrongful incarceration. Some men were the breadwinners. And, it's just such a sad situation, everybody. So do know that wrongful convictions definitely exist. And these men, just as all the others that have been wrongfully incarcerated and those that are still behind the walls, they have lost everything once they were locked up. And it's sad, but nothing can replace the life of a loved one. Nothing can give them back the time that they've lost or the milestones and memories that they never got to experience with their children and their family. That should never happen. All right? So please, everybody, become aware and just know that wrongful convictions are still taking place and there's still men and women behind the walls that are innocent. And again, Pennsylvania must right the wrong and they must compensate these men and the women that they have wronged by destroying their lives. I'm Dr. Chinchila Jonesia, the Queen of Justice. You have been tuned into PhillyCAM Voices, and you can watch this show on YouTube and also on Roku. And we thank you for tuning in tonight. And until next time, we say good night.